Hello and welcome to a special edition of News Bants with myself, Fiona Sabite.
And me, Paul Nezandoni.
Hi Paul, how are you?
Hi B, I'm very good. How are you?
Well, do you know what, Paul? Obviously this is a Meghan and Harry on Oprah special, and between last night watching the interview and today, I don't know, I feel as though I've been on a bit of a roller coaster. I sat there watching it, eating my Snickers, thinking, oh my God. I was doing some tweets at the same time, but I don't know, part of me is shocked as to what was going on, or shocked that it's now all out there. And there were some shocking things revealed. I think though, before we get into the detail of it, I just think overall that from a kind of like media perspective, I thought they came across very well. I think there was a lot of hype in advance saying that they were disparaging the royal family, and particularly the Queen. And I know we're going to talk about Piers Morgan, but there was no disparaging whatsoever of the Queen. There was none, or generally of the royal family. It was more about, oh God, we've got to talk about language, Paul. The institution.
The institution and the firm.
Yeah. Oh my God. I mean, what were your initial takeouts?
Very similar. I was shocked at how it was all playing out. Shocked to hear it all laid bare. The full story came out. In a way, I'm not surprised by some of what we heard, but just hearing it so straightforwardly. This is what happened. This is what I experienced. This is how I felt. That was quite shocking. There were so many revelations there that are damaging to the royal family, and I think, as you say, they tried to protect the Queen's reputation, and they were very respectful. But all of this goes back to the Queen, I think. I don't know that you can separate the two. That's one of the things that I think is very difficult. We've got the firm, we've got the family. They're respectful to their grandmother, but actually, ultimately, this is about everything she stands for. And any decisions that were made or that affected them fall to the Queen, I think.
So you're saying ultimately the top dog, the Queen, is basically, it all falls at her lap. So this is interesting, and we'll come on to this because I don't know, two things came out for me last night, and that was this whole thing about the institution and how they referred to it. Like it wasn't just about the people in the royal family. It was like, and I don't want to get all conspiratorial, but it was literally like, this is a businessman. And do you know what I mean? That this isn't just about the individuals, because those individuals will come and go, but it's about literally the institution and
the system. Yeah,
the system. Yes, it reminded me a bit like, I don't know, this is going to sound nutty, but you say the system. Do you remember The Matrix? And I don't know, there was just some weird vibes going on there.
There's something kind of mafia about it, something dark. There's an underworld, but we don't know. It doesn't really exist. And that's the thing. You almost would think, God, no, she's just being paranoid. Oh, no, that wasn't really racist. Oh, no, they didn't really mean that. But it's even bigger than that. It's bigger than, it's the system that... Yeah.
Definitely. Well, let's kick off with the racism, because that was a big thing that came out yesterday, particularly from Meghan. She spoke about Archie and how when she was pregnant, there was conversations, and I know that this has been fact checked, and there's various things said about how the line of titles works, but there were comments made in reference to Archie's skin colour that she mentioned, and it was actually a conversation that Harry had said with an undisclosed member of the royal family, which we know is not the Queen or Prince Philip. But apparently he won't say who it is because it will be damaging to them. So, make of that what you will. But let's go back to the central theme, is that references made to Archie's skin colour. And I've seen like all sorts of people coming out with, but it depends what context it was in. And I'm sorry, but why would the colour of his skin come up as an issue, as even a subject? I'm thinking, unless it was to do with concern with how dark the baby was going to be, why would it even come up in conversation? Why would that subject come up?
Yeah, no, I have the same. I completely agree. I think so. I've seen people say, for example, they might have said, "Oh, I wonder if it will have Harry's hair or Meg's hair. You know, will it be redhead or have darker hair?" And that's what you do when
Yeah.
when the baby's being expected. You might say, "I wonder whose features it will have," and yeah, there's that context. But actually, the context that Megan's talking about will have been she will have felt, or Harry will have felt. Actually, there's an undertone here. You can feel when someone's being racist or they're having a go or having a dig or they're asking, but there's something else behind it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I completely get people who say, well, maybe it was meant in a harmless way, but no, actually, if they're telling us it was meant in a way that they took as being racist, we should believe them
Yeah.
and take it as that. And actually, when you build it into the wider picture of what they've experienced, of course it was racist. Of course that's what was meant.
Yeah, I agree. And, we've spoken about this before, but gaslighting people's lived experiences because it doesn't suit a particular person's narrative, that is awful. Gaslighting someone in that way to say, well, actually, no, it wasn't racist. If someone tells you something is racist, they're experiencing racism, you listen to them, you accept what they're saying to you. Otherwise, what kind of world are we living in? And also, why would they make up something like that? What benefit would there be?
Exactly.
And also, obviously, there was mention of how Meghan has been treated over the years by the press, in terms of they've looked at comparative stories. The famous one is the avocado one, right? She called it a loaded piece of toast. So you had the story with Kate eating an avocado, and it's all lovely and delightful, and then you have the comparison when Meghan had an avocado, and there was links between the source of avocados, it's war-torn areas and it's terrible, and she's helping to prop up a system about human rights, and there's been so many examples of that. And I mean, why would the media do this? Why would they do this? And also the story about the crying incident as well, whereby the story that came out in the media that it was Meghan that made Kate cry, and we all believed it. And obviously that then influenced people's perceptions of Meghan. All of this stuff, straight out of Compton and all that stuff, it's all racist words. It's all racist sentiment.
Yeah, it is. And however you want to play it, actually, you might even say, one or two, okay, we'll let that go, or it's one or two rogue journalists. But actually, it does all amount to almost a conspiracy. There's clearly an attempt here to be racist. This is, I think it's undeniable. And seeing people today, like Piers Morgan, going around saying, oh no, they've had positive media coverage. Yeah, they did on the wedding day, but because they didn't want to play the game, they then got all the negative stuff. And seeing the Society of Editors chief exec or chairman, making a fool of himself today on TV, because it's just undeniable. You can't argue it. It was all racist, and yeah, it's because they wouldn't play the game. It's because she was her own person. Maybe she didn't understand how the system works. It's interesting hearing her talk about, for her, it's almost like she thought they were just celebrities. She didn't realise there was this whole system. And the tabloid press didn't like that. They didn't like that she wouldn't give them all the access. And they're just racist. And actually, and we don't just see it with her, we see it with other black people. The press are racist, and that's how they treat people. And I just don't know how you can deny it.
Well, this is the thing. What I find always interesting is that people are very quick to say, no, we're not racist. But they're not even willing to kind of, actually, let's look at what's happened. Let's look at these different incidents. It's just very quick to deny. It's like a barrier that comes up automatically, not racist, and that's it. And it's a bit like, I know we're going to come on to talk about him. It's a bit like Piers Morgan when he just walked off today from his own program.
Oh, yes.
It's what is that about? And also, if someone tells you there's a problem, don't you want to kind of address it and look into it and think, actually, if there is a problem, we need to rectify this. We need to be better. We need to have better systems in place. That surely is what you'd want to happen. And to me, I think by denying racism or not even be open to kind of investigating or looking at it, you are perpetuating the system. You're keeping that system intact. Those structures, we call it structural racism. That structure is basically being kept. It's been fortified, if you like. It's been fortified. You know.
Yeah, it is. And actually, you talk about structures, and it's interesting hearing them talk about, she said she went to HR and she talked to the comms team.
Yeah.
We talked about the firm. It is like it's a business.
Yeah,
isn't
that
it?
was
You
really
forget
weird.
that it's a business. And actually, HR and PR and comms teams, you would have thought would know better, but they're obviously all part of this, and they're all there trying to keep people like Meghan in their place, like they did with Diana. And it's all just this self-perpetuating, horribleness, and to say evil, it is, it's been a horrible experience for them.
It is, but part of me thinks though, Paul, that when you step back and look at this and you think, obviously this is all terrible, and we'll come on to this, systems are very hard to break and to try and, I wasn't say infiltrate, but to try and shake them up. Systems, and like this one that's been going for hundreds of years, notoriously difficult to challenge, and to, it's International Women's Month this month, and the theme is choose to challenge. And it's funny because choosing to challenge, it's not easy, generally to challenge things, yet alone when you're in the firm or in an institution that's hundreds of years old.
Yeah.
How, and I do wonder, well, anyway, we'll come on to this, but I do wonder what does the future hold for the firm and for Harry and Meghan as well, really, Yeah,
very good question. I mean, I thought things had began to change following Diana, and and as we see in The Crown recently, the way she went and embraced people who had HIV. She met with people of different sexualities, people of different colours, people with different backgrounds, and there was a sense there that the family had modernised, but there's now a sense that it's actually not moved on at all.
Yeah, it hasn't seemed to have learnt the lessons from the past. I mean, it was interesting. I mean, we were speaking about the press, and it was interesting how, again, this is something really eerie, how they described the relationship between the royal family and the press as almost some sort of symbiotic relationship, and that they feed off each other, but one needs the other. They both need each other, essentially. And so there's this trade-off. And I suppose it's similar to politics. We've seen it in politics as well, we've seen it in politics. But I guess this was the first time that this has been voiced by a member of the royal family. To just put it out there.
Yeah, again, that kind of bringing it straight to, to the forefront. It's something we all know, especially if you work in comms and PR. You kind of know that behind the scenes there are going to be, secret briefings. There's going to be parties and dinners, garden parties, I think they refer to. But, hearing it all talked about, I think will spoil the illusion for a lot of people. But yeah, the thing is, the press can just destroy you. And it's interesting, isn't it? The press are moaning about her and how horrid she is. But, they're it's filling their pages. They're happy to take all this fodder and, they're not ignoring it, are they? And they're turning it into this big drama. They're feeding it, really, aren't they?
Yeah, it is. You're right. It literally... what would be interesting to see, actually, is to compare this with Prince Andrew and that whole saga, and to see how much spotlight and attention was given to Prince Andrew compared to this.
Nowhere near. Yeah. It's like the Daily Mirror today was saying this is the biggest crisis for 85 years, I think. And I was thinking, what about Prince Andrew?
Yeah. That's... And
you saw we had the palace making a statement, ahead of the interview, the palace was saying about Meghan being bullied and HR was investigating. They didn't make any statements about Andrew from what I remembered. I don't know if there was an investigation. We have nothing. When it comes to Meghan, though, the palace is happy to put something out. The Queen wants to comment. And again, it goes back to, those statements come out from the Queen, as she knows about it. It's interesting hearing them talking about their different press offices, Kate and Will's and Meghan has, but actually, I think the Queen does know a lot more and is a bit more involved than they let on.
Well, that's interesting because, I don't know, ultimately the Queen, she's an old lady, isn't she? She's elderly. She's an old dear. So is she really the kind of person wielding the power in all of this? Because when Harry was talking about her, I mean, it was so sweet. He was like saying, you know, Granny and all this. Even Meghan, they was both talking about her in such sweet terms. And I think it was when that whole story came about them stepping back and what have you. Before that, she invited them to come up to Sandringham, and they were all set to go and visit her. And then all of a sudden, they heard from the press secretary saying, you know, she's busy now. Sorry, not today. She's busy, darling. She can't see you.
Yeah.
And then it was like, oh no, she can't do that day either. She's busy, love. Sorry. I don't know why I put that accent on, but yeah. But,
That's more like an East End accent than a posh royal accent. Can't see your love.
but yeah, it was kind of like, is that really then the Queen? Because she was willing to see them. It was like some other power basically overruled her. Can you overrule the
Don't
Queen?
get me wrong. I think don't get me wrong. I think she has advisors and people telling her what to do. But I think the Queen will. She's tried to modernise, like I said. But there's also actually this is just how we do things. And there's all this won't look good. So I think that very much the Queen is involved in these decisions. Yeah, she's an older woman, an elderly woman, but that means nothing. I think that's part of her way of disarming us, isn't it?
Oh gosh,
she knows what she's doing. She's been around for a while. I can't even, and if they wanted, I'm sure Prince Charles or whoever would have just overtaken by now. But she's made the decision to stay in that role and to, be our queen. So I think she's very much knows what's going on. The statements and things that come out, according to the Times today, a statement was written, but then the Queen ripped it up and decided not to put it out.
wow.
It's very much the Queen at the helm of this, I think.
Well, Paul, that is interesting. We need to talk about another topic in this interview. And this is something actually that's so concerning. I mean, a lot of it was concerning, but this was particularly concerning, and this is mental health. And obviously Meghan, she spoke about her experience of feeling suicidal. And I mean, it was awful to listen to, really awful. But it was made even worse when she tried to reach out, as you say, to HR. It's weird to think of them having, as you say, a HR department, but tried to reach out essentially to get some support. And in a way, I mean, the response was just so cold-hearted. It was kind of like, well, you're not on the payroll, so we can't help you. And then it was kind of like, well, you can't really do anything else because it won't look good. So in a way, she was, I mean, God forbid that, something happened to her. She was trapped. She was trapped. And it's like, well, and she was trapped and essentially didn't have any source of help. And obviously we know that the royal family, the brothers, they've been proponents of mental health. They've been fronting mental health charities, talking about the importance of it. And yet here was Meghan, wife of Prince Harry, unable to get the support that she needed when she felt like killing herself. I mean, it's awful, isn't it?
It's terrifying. And the fact, someone crying out for help, and especially, in this country, we've been having a conversation now for years about the need to develop mental health services. Like you say, members of the royal family represent charities in this area, and they've got someone needing help, and she's denied it. And that's just atrocious, and they should be ashamed of themselves. And it does sound like Meghan and Harry did just have to look out for each other. They had to close in, and that's why. And I think people are seeing them as separating themselves and fighting back, but actually it sounds like they needed to do that to protect each other and to look after each other.
Yeah.
And people who are saying, oh, she didn't really have, suicidal thoughts. I just think, again, like with the racism, if someone says that, you believe them.
Oh yeah. And
you get them the help they need.
Exactly. You don't gaslight them. Oh gosh, it's terrible. I'm just thinking also to, we're going to talk about Piers Morgan. I keep saying this, but his response in particular to this was terrible on is Good Morning Britain. I always get confused and think, is it still called GMTV or is it Good Morning Britain? I'm still in the 90s, but you know what I mean.
Oh, dear.
on his breakfast programme, he
Yeah.
essentially said that she's making the whole thing up. And the irony is that ITV, obviously where this programme was screened, GMB or whatever it's called, Good Morning Britain, they have a partnership with Mind Charity. Their whole theme is be kind. And here we have a presenter that's rubbishing Meghan's what she said about feeling suicidal. It's beggars belief. Surely something's got to give there in terms of ITV. I know that Mind are now in conversations with them about this because it's awful.
Yeah, he should be fired. This is a fundamental campaign that they've been running, and something that a lot of people will, people watching it who are suffering and who are experiencing mental health issues. He's not helped this at all.
No.
And today he made a statement and he tried to clarify what he meant, but I don't think it's enough. The damage is done. I think it's actually pretty damaging for their brand and for their relationship with Mind.
Yeah.
If I was at Mind, I'd be asking for something quite serious to happen. And also, actually, personally, I think Piers shouldn't be on. Yeah, I just wouldn't trust him to deal with these issues in future.
And what does it say about us as a society? I mean, I listened, and I know I shouldn't have done this, but I tuned into LBC last night because I knew.
Why do you upset yourself?
I know. It was really. Do you know what? In the end, I had to go to BBC Two and listen to calmer music because I have LBC. It's one of those stations. You know me. I like to listen to it, but at the same time, sometimes the people who call through, and I know it's all about making sure everyone has a voice. I get all of that. But sometimes the people that call through, they are on another level, Paul. And last night, it was one of those nights. And I just think, as a society, when I hear people gaslighting and say she was lying, it's all made up, where's the compassion? Where's the humanity?
Yeah. There is none. And people going, oh, well, she's an actress. And I've been thinking about this, actually. People saying, oh, she's an actress, she's clearly acting. And I think, actually, I don't believe she's making it up, but actually part of the skill I think that the royal family needs is even learning how to act like you care, showing some compassion. Yeah, I was thinking, oh, there's some skills here. She could teaching them how to just be nice. And if you can't be nice, just pretend you care. And I was thinking, actually what she's so refreshing, the fact that and that's the thing, she's sitting there telling her truth. That's a very Oprah phrase, isn't it? But
I know you love Oprah.
But actually, oh God, that's another story. But I just feel actually she's doing the things that but maybe people thought she's acting because we're not used to this. Same with Diana. We're not used to people from the royal family saying how they feel, and this is weird, isn't it? All touchy-feely. They must be acting. They must be dramatic. They're making it up.
Yeah, it's sad that that's what some people think, and that for some people that is their first thought, is it's all been made up and it's all basically just to get at the royal family. It's sad. But mental health, I mean, the other things that got to me and really piqued my interest and thoughts were around this whole notion of being trapped. So Harry mentioned this and I was like, whoa, this is deep stuff. And he said that, he felt trapped. He said the brothers trapped. Essentially, what he was saying was that people are trapped. Other members of the royal family are trapped, but they just do what they do because it's the system, essentially. It's a bit like the Matrix thing all over again. And, obviously he's escaped. And it's funny because I thought about this, and you would think of the royal family as being privileged, waited on hand and foot, access to whatever they want. And really, is that being trapped? But being trapped is a state of mind. Anyone can be trapped, regardless of your background. Anyone can have that feeling of being trapped. And I suppose I didn't really appreciate that, even though obviously they're born into it, it's their duty and what have you. But for someone like Harry, who didn't want any of that, yes, he felt trapped. He felt trapped.
I mean, there was almost a smugness to him, wasn't there, when he said, I've escaped, but they're still there. My brother, my dad, they can't escape. But, at the beginning, Meghan said, I had my passport taken and my keys, she is physically trapped.
That sounded like prison, didn't it? Literally.
About not being able to go anywhere.
Yeah.
She hadn't been out for months.
Yes.
She's trapped.
Yeah.
And needing the protection that, she's trapped.
Yeah.
Wherever you go, you've got a protection officer, except they tried to take that away because she had a baby of colour and she's a woman of colour. But you're trapped. And actually, that's the threat, isn't it? That they were given. You play the game or we take your protection.
Yeah. Oh,
and I've heard
gosh.
people say, they're spoiled and Harry wasn't appreciating it. But, he did it. He did at one moment say, very lucky. I've got my mum's money.
Yeah.
And I know that, I wouldn't be able to do this otherwise. I think he does recognise how privileged he is. And that's why they want to give back. Their whole thing is that they want to give back. They want to do good. They want to use their platform to to help those who don't have what they do.
Yeah.
And I just, and I don't see the problem with that.
Yeah, me too. Me too, Paul. Oh, goodness. Well, let's turn to Meghan's Thomas Markle. Remember we spoke about Thomas Markle months ago. He's popped up again.
Yes.
He's popped up again,
Yeah.
old Thomas Markle. And let's talk about Meg's parents in general. So obviously, this is probably not a surprise. He popped up on that programme this morning on ITV, and I just thought, what are you doing? Can't you just... Well, I suppose it's probably ironic because people probably say, well, she was on TV, so now the dad's coming to have his say. But I think I'm just tired of seeing her dad. He even said, when I don't hear from them, I do these interviews, and then after 30 days, if I don't hear from them, I do an interview. And I'm thinking, well, there seems to be something wrong here. You're not hearing from them, so you need to just stop with these interviews. It seemed like a bit of an obsession, but I suppose for the TV fodder, on Good Morning Britain, it's fodder, isn't it, to have her dad there saying all the same stuff that he said previously.
Yeah, it is. I mean, he didn't really add anything to the discussion, but it's part of the drama, isn't it? And yeah, but I don't get why we are rolling him out every 2 minutes. Because, like you say, your daughter's made it clear she doesn't want to see you. There's obviously something that's gone wrong there. Respect that, and don't use the media. And this is again where you see it, the media's power, because the media sought him out. The media published that letter, which they've now had to apologise for, and will have to have front page apologies over. But this is the media just going too far. And actually, they're using Thomas Markle. He's been, I think, he's been abused by them too. For the media's own ends, they're not helping at all with his relationship with his daughter. Things haven't got better through the media.
No, you're right. They haven't. And Meghan's mum, I mean, we don't. She's quite. What's the word? Well, we don't see her, and that's the way it should be. She just, she's been quiet, and I don't expect to hear from her mum, to be honest.
No, she'll be quiet, I think. They keep bringing back that photo of when she was there with the Queen and meeting Archie for the first time. But yeah, I don't think we'll see much of her. She's probably what a royal should be. She's quiet and dignified.
Indeed. So this has obviously been an opportunity for politicians to have their say as well. And yes, I looked up actually early today thinking, right, what have they said? Has anyone said anything they shouldn't have said? And actually Boris Johnson, I don't think surprisingly, he kept his trap shut. I think he did, but I think his secretary or whatever said something else. But he essentially, I think he's done the right thing. He's towed the line. He said he has respect for the Queen, the utmost respect for the Queen, and that he's never got involved in royal matters and he's not about to start to. I think as Prime Minister, that's probably the right thing to do, because once you start getting involved, then I think it's a slippery slope. So on this occasion, I don't think there's any role for him to play. I don't know what you think.
Yeah, no, I think I was ready to cringe when he was asked the question. And yeah, I think he did the right thing. He should not be commenting. And actually, there was nothing he could say that would be helpful. If he asked, "Are they racist?" I think if he said no, that's a story.
Yeah.
If he said yes, that's a story.
Exactly.
So better to not comment and get drawn into it. It would be a distraction.
Yeah, I agree. What about your favourite politician, Keir Starmer. He
Oh, Sakir.
Yeah, he went a bit further actually. He actually expressed an opinion, and I know you don't think he's got opinions, but he expressed an opinion that is different to Boris. And he said that the allegations should be taken seriously. You know, he said it's a reminder that too many people experience racism. He said we have to take it very, very seriously. Not just seriously, but very, very seriously.
Very, very.
Yeah, so that, I mean, I know you've got your thing about Keir Starmer, but he actually, you know, he came off the fence, didn't he?
Yeah, no, he did. I mean, it's probably okay because he's got no chance of being Prime Minister, so it won't come back to bite him. Like that video did of him saying that he's an abolitionist and doesn't like the Queen and wants the royal family to be got rid of. You know, and again, he is all over the place because he was saying that a few years ago, and then he's putting flags up and being all patriotic. But I think it is good that he has spoken his mind. I don't think it will. It's dangerous in any way because he's not Prime Minister, and it's even more important because Boris hasn't said anything. So it is good to have a political leader make a statement, I think.
Yeah, I suppose the irony is, and some people would say, well, actually, there's allegations of racism within the Labour Party. What is going on with that investigation? Why is it stalled in terms of what's the outcome?
I wasn't even going to go there.
Oh, well, I've gone there for you, Paul. Hey!
Oh, thank you.
There's something else I wanted to say, and that was the Shadow Education Secretary, Kate Green. She also came out and she said if there are allegations of racism, I expect them to be treated by the palace for seriousness. So, you know, they have come out and have a position on that. So I think that's quite good. But as you say, it's easy to do these things when you're in opposition. As government of the day, you shouldn't really get involved either way, I think, from a comms perspective anyway.
I saw Diane Abbott also made some interesting points about it's very important for women of colour to speak out, and that you have this kind of image of the strong black woman. You know, she goes on with her daily struggles and doesn't speak out, and she's kind of fed up with it because we know the abuse that she faces, particularly on social media, extremely racist and misogynistic. But yeah, her point about it's good what Meghan's done, I think is quite powerful too.
Definitely. Well, we've kind of covered the politicians. Piers Morgan, I feel like we need to go back to Piers Morgan because I feel as though he has a personal grudge against Meghan Markle. He's got this obsession with her. And I think because I can't remember what happened, but she cut off contact with him. And ever since then, he just seems to have this grudge, you know?
He really hates her, doesn't he?
Yeah. And to the point, though, whereby you can't take him seriously on this matter because he is just biased. His dislike of her is so contemptible that you can't really take him seriously. Even yesterday, before the interview came out, he made it seem as though she'd made disparaging remarks about the Queen, which she did not at all. So, I mean, what's his game?
He'd already decided, hadn't he? And it's like he's a caricature, and it's just always weird, having a middle-aged white man there telling you what a woman of colour feels and what she experiences, and he can't see just how wrong that is. This is a time where he should be keeping quiet and listening, really. But he's kind of made it all about himself, and that's the thing. Actually, the show just fell into fast in the end. And actually, I'd kind of started to change my mind on Piers over COVID because he was saying the right things and challenging the politicians. But I don't know if it's because he's protective of the fact he used to be a tabloid editor. He is a journalist ultimately, so he's very protective, given what Meghan and Harry have said about the tabloid press. But yeah, I've just lost any kind of respect I might have started to feel for him. Well,
and this morning, obviously, Alex Beresford, they were all sitting down talking, and Alex Beresford, said in a very calm manner that basically we have to put up with you every single day, and but he didn't. he said it in a really calm manner, and the shock was when he was just sitting there, like you could tell that he was getting really kind of angry inside with it all, and he was doing that thing with his lip breakers like that. And then the next thing is just kind of says, right, I'm not having this, and he walks off like a child. I mean, this is live television. You are the
Oh
main
God.
host, and you can't take that someone has challenged you, and you
Yeah.
walk off. I mean,
Exactly.
what was that about? I felt well. I didn't feel embarrassed for him because he's big enough to feel embarrassed for himself. But it was embarrassing. I don't think these sorts of things happen on breakfast TV in the UK, where you see the presenter just come, right, I've had enough of this. I don't like what you've said. I'm off. It's terrible and very
Exactly.
childish.
Yeah. And especially, like I say, he was making it about him. This isn't about him.
Yeah.
This isn't about how you feel, Piers. This is about Meghan and Harry.
Yeah.
And somehow it's him that's getting upset and walking off. And I don't know why he feels he's got to be the Queen's spokesperson or the royal family. You know, it's all, you know, these people coming out and defending them, the family. And it's like, well, let them speak for themselves.
yeah.
They've got a whole PR machine. Why is Piers Morgan defending them?
Well, this is interesting also. You know, there was this expose. So these two guys pretended, well, they didn't pretend. They basically lured in commentators, well-known commentators,
Yes.
to comment on the interview, even though the interview hadn't been broadcast.
Yeah.
But they'd already had their perceptions about what they wanted to say. And it just goes to show you that surely this is an agenda, because how can you talk about an interview and comment on an interview without actually seeing it? How you've already got that point of view that you're pushing forward. That is very dodgy, very dodgy.
Yeah. And this is all part of the system, isn't it? They've got to say the right things to keep the family happy, keep giving them stories, which they will cover in a positive way to keep the family happy, and the family will keep them happy. Because, yeah, all those people that are willing to very quickly, you know, defend it without even seeing it.
Yeah.
You know, even before it came on, there were pages and pages of defence.
Yeah.
And pages of people spinning against against Meghan and Harry. And it was all anti-Meghan at first.
Yes.
You would have thought it was the Meghan interview. And then I think people slowly cottoned on to the fact, no, it is both of them.
Yeah, yeah.
And I quite liked that he was very much sticking by his wife and reiterating the point she made. And the point, you know, the story about the skin colour of Archie was him who heard it, and he relayed it. Because I think that if it was just her, people would even more say, oh, she's making it up. Actually, Harry's the one that's telling us this is what happened.
Yeah.
So, I think that's made it even more powerful.
Yeah, I agree. So what do you think then, Paul, in terms of, you know, the royals, next generation and what have you? I mean, how do you think this is being perceived? Because you've got kind of like, I guess, the older demographic, which are probably more, we must protect the Queen and the royals. No matter what, they will just almost be blank with regards to anything else that might be going on. They defend the royals no matter what. And I think that's more of perhaps an older generation. Whereas the younger people now, you know, young people, they're young people, they are socially aware. You know, issues of racism and injustice, they matter a lot to young people. So surely this will have an impact on how, as you say, they were trying to modernise. You know, when Carrie married Meghan, and then there was Wills and Kate, they were trying to modernise. Here's the next generation of royals. But now this has come out. Surely this will impact the generations, kind of the younger people, and how they perceive the royals now.
I think so. I think you're right. There is a generational split with, you know, the Gen Zs, you know, love Meghan and Harry, and those who are older love the traditionals. Probably even love Kate and William, you know, who are very traditional. But yeah, I think people, you know, younger generations, if they're going to support the royal family, want to see authenticity. So yeah, it's fine, you might go along and cut a ribbon for, you know, a new mental health centre opening, and you might say you're the patron of a charity, but actually we want to hear you talking, we want to hear you being genuine. And that's what Harry's always done. He's talked about you know, his experiences after his mother died. He's talked about, you know, the last few years since he's been dating and then married to Meghan. And it does for me, it makes me think, I wonder how genuine Kate and William really were. You know, were they acting? Because if this is how they're actually treating their brother and their sister-in-law, that must have all been fake, because how can they be patrons of charities and say that they support mental health issues? Actually, Meghan and Harry are the ones that are authentic and genuine, and I think we'll be looking for that even more in the future. You know, people move on, and when sadly the Queen passes on, and her husband, and you know, Charles and Queen Camilla, actually we will be left with people thinking back to Harry and Meghan. I wonder if they'll come back, and I think they will come back at some point. But we'll be thinking, oh, what are they doing? We want them to be our king and queen, perhaps. Maybe that could happen.
Wow, that would be a turn up for the books, Paul. I mean,
Archie could come and steal the crown.
oh, Paul, yeah.
That was a very, just pat you on the head. Yeah.
I think we both know that's not going to happen.
Oh, who knows? I mean, it's the royal family. Look at the dramas. We've had people having their heads chopped off. We've had them having multiple wives and husbands and affairs. We've had murders. It could all happen.
Do you know what? I was speaking to someone today, and they made a really good point. They said that the royal family is pretty much like, it's like a Jeremy Kyle show, but obviously they're all posh. But it's do you know what I mean? It's that you're right. There's so many dramas and so many scandals and all this stuff. You're absolutely right. Goodness me. So what next then, Paul? Because we've just literally hot off the press got this statement. Oh, we're so silly. We've got this statement, Royal Communications. I'll read it out, but basically it says, the following statement is issued by Buckingham Palace on behalf of Her Majesty the Queen. The whole family is saddened to learn the full extent of how challenging the last few years have been for Harry and Meghan. The issues raised, particularly that of race, are concerning. While some recollections may vary, they are taken very seriously and will be addressed by the family privately. Harry, Meghan and Archie will always be much loved family members. This is interesting, right? From my perspective, to be honest, I thought it would be all very much... I thought they'd come up with a full denial and just kind of like, right, let's batten down the hatches. We're going hardcore. We're going to deny everything and we're going to be very robust. But they haven't denied it. They've not said that what they've said is not the truth. There is one line. This reminds me of, you know, The Anyway is Essex, where at the beginning it says some of these characters may be varied with blah, blah, blah. And this is the line here that is like that. While some recollections may vary, they're taken very seriously. That is that line. That's like kind of, well, you know what? Yeah, there might be some things here. Yeah, that's like, there might be some things here that didn't quite happen the way we thought it did. So that is a bit of a line. But generally, I'm quite shocked by the level of emotion and how soft this is. I honestly thought they would come down and be like, right, boom, that's it now. They're liars. This didn't happen. We refute everything, blah, blah, blah. But it hasn't. But it also suggests that we may not hear anything more because they're now saying they're going to sort this out privately, which means you guys won't know, essentially, what happens unless there's a Oprah interview again. Yeah,
and we'll just wait for whenever Kate or William go off to do their next hospital visit or whatever. But yeah, I mean, in a way, they said more than I thought they would, because I thought they'd say something very short. I expected them to acknowledge, but there was a lot more emotion there than I expected. You know, actually, they recognised her truth and her experience and acknowledged that they've gone through a lot. Which I think was very important. I think, and I think that statement probably will satisfy those that are supporters of Meghan and Harry and those that aren't actually. There's just about enough there to say, yeah, we recognise and we want to talk. But there's enough there for those that don't support them who say, yeah, well, your recollections vary. She's clearly made this up. She's an actress. It's a very fine line, I think they've managed to just about tread. And then, shut the door, go away, nothing more to see here. We're not going to talk about this. And I think that's important because I think there will be more. I think Oprah will continue to put out these little teasers and videos. You know, today we had a bit about the father come out, and I think there'll be little bits that keep coming out. And I think it is important that the family doesn't keep trying to respond. And this does feel like the kind of thing they do need to go away and regroup, think about it, and deal with it as a family, actually, you know. And that's the fifth thing, isn't it? You know, you might be thinking, oh, as a, you know, and actually, I wonder, you know, you might have someone advising them as a business, as a corporation, what should you be doing, you know, as a commercial enterprise. But also, I hope they're getting advice on what you should be doing as a family. And there's people who are related and who I assume do love each other and want to see each other. You know, you've got a grandson, a son, a grandchild stuck in America. So part of this is also about repairing the family, which I think is very important.
I agree, but there's no kind of sign. The fact that though this will remain private, and I can understand elements of it should remain private though, but there is no indication of, okay, well actually this stuff was racist or X, Y, and Z. What are we going to, as an institution, what are we going to do to project that we have changed? Because that's important, right? Because they surely at some point, maybe it's not, they need to do something to show or communicate that they have changed. But I don't, because it is a system and it is a firm and we look back and see what's happened to Diana, I'm not sure they can change because of the structure of what it is, what it's about. I don't think suddenly that the royal family is going to just change overnight and they're going to become this, you know, whatever organisation, because it is a business, as you say. It's a generational business that relies on certain power structures in order to keep it going.
I think it will change very slowly. I think it did manage to change after Diana. We've had the boys, the sons, talk about mental health in a way that you know, monarchs haven't, as far as I know, in the past. You know, them talking about their mum dying was very significant. I think this is a moment now where they will have to go away and regroup. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know how we're going to get a sense that things have changed. But something's got to happen. I just don't know how you can continue this. Because at the same time, yeah, you're absolutely right. You know, even I was reading some of the things like, you know, they... you know, King George or Prince George, whatever we call him, he wears shorts up to the age of 3 because that's just what they do, or 7 or something, because that's what they've always done. You know, there's all these traditions that they still follow because they always have. But I hope in other ways they do modernise. But who knows? You know, I just think, like I say, it's about the Queen. She wants to stick to some of these traditions, some of these ways, and maybe until she's gone, Meghan and Harry can't come back.
Do you think
Prince Charles, you'd hope, is a bit more modern? I mean, he did take a mistress and then kill his wife, and then
you can't say that.
Camilla, his new wife.
Well, I think you have to retract that.
Oh, allegedly, sorry.
Oh God. Anyway, moving on swiftly. You know, I think. Well, also the thing about.
Oh, sorry, it wasn't him. It was the Queen.
Oh God.
Allegedly.
Anyway, moving on swiftly. Do you think the royal family will survive? The firm will survive?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what it would take to get rid of the royal family, but they will survive. I think what might happen though is, I think we'll start to have different countries, you know, start to say, do we really want this family as our head of state? You know, this racist family. They're going to have to adopt and modernise, and it will survive. It's just whether it gets a bit smaller for a while, or they go quiet for a bit. I mean, it'd be interesting to see, for example, the charities they work with, whether they will want to still have. I think there's a lot that will kind of have to at some point come out, and they'll have to start to lift their heads above the parapet again, and then we'll see.
Yeah.
Very difficult.
Well, and as for Harry and Meghan, I mean, I think the US at the moment is the best place for them. They seemed quite happy, you know, with their chickens and, you know, out of it basically, out of the system. That is the best place for them, as we've said, from a mental health perspective, and they've got to focus on their own family as well. So, I mean, the future. I mean, they've got things coming down the track in terms of their Netflix, all the rest of it, and who knows? I feel that their future. I don't think they'll go off into obscurity, and that's the end. That's the end of it, and what have you. I think, who knows? We may even see another program in a few years, another interview, another Oprah style interview. You just never know. You never know
what Harry and Meghan did next.
Well,
I think they will continue to, they'll continue to be commercial and do what they can. They kind of remind me of Posh and Becks.
Are you serious?
That's what Posh and Becks did, isn't it? Let's stick our name on everything and make lots of money.
Oh gosh, I can
kind of see it being a bit like that. But the other thing they will do is try and help others.
Yeah.
They will try and use their platform to do good. And that's what they're promising. And I think the main thing is that they have to live up to that. What I would hate is for us to find actually they've just sold out and become commercial, and they're just the new Kardashian family with a reality TV show or something.
Oh, that would be awful.
That would be awful. Think that is where it's going, but I think that's what people are scared of. That's what they think, evil Meghan's doing. She's come over here and taken our prince. I think it's important though that they do kind of like the royal family's done and said, we're going to deal with this now privately. I think they should give themselves the space to reflect privately, to get the help and support that I hope Meghan's now getting. But they need to just look out for themselves now.
Yeah, and she's having a baby this summer, and obviously that's a major thing. And she obviously, it's sad because the first time she was pregnant, she was under so much stress. We didn't know what was going on at the time, but we've heard about it, and now she's pregnant with baby number 2, and obviously this is all going on now. So I think just focus on the family, and we'll see what happens next. But gosh, I just have to very quickly mention, do you know why I cracked up when you mentioned Posh and Becks? Right, the first thing that came to my head was a picture that was in I don't know, it was online the other day when Prince Charles met Posh and Becks, and Becks was in a do-rag. And I don't know why that image just came into my mind. I don't know why. It's really odd.
I was thinking, why is this so funny? They are. I mean, this is they're modernising the royal family. I actually thought that Harry's accent had changed a little bit. He didn't sound as posh.
Ooh.
I was wondering if there was a bit of an American or something.
Ooh.
Yeah, but they want to fit. They're going to now have to live this American life and. Who knows what will happen?
Yeah,
I hope it doesn't go down this reality TV
Oh no,
show.
that would be terrible. But
I think they'll hopefully do good.
Yeah, I hope so too. Well, Paul, we've packed in a fair amount there on that Harry and Meghan on Oprah, and gosh. Well, as per usual, thank you very much for listening. You can follow us on Twitter, follow the conversation at Bants.
We're also on Instagram at Bants.
And if you're watching us, you'll know that we're also on YouTube. So please do subscribe, leave reviews, tell your friends, tell your family. Until next time, take care.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.